If you're watching this, I'm going to assume that you're already aware that some candidates in this race are deeply integrated into the political system, well-known, well-funded, and in many ways, the candidates that the establishment expects to win. This interview is not about them. We're here to talk about Ken McFeeters, his background, his beliefs, and his vision for how Alabama should be run. The goal is simple: to understand who he is, what shaped his thinking, and why he believes he's the best choice to lead Alabama. So, Ken, we're going to ask, who is Ken McFeeters? What industries have you been involved with throughout your life? And how have those experiences shaped what you believe today?
Like I said, I'm Ken McFeeters, and thank you for driving up and interviewing me, Zach. I've been in the insurance agency business since I've been 21 years old, and I'm 65, 45 years. Started a business when I was 21 with my family, and we've been doing it since. My parents have since passed, and my brother and I have been running it for the last 10 years. I got involved in politics through my industry. Montgomery started messing with my business, and I became active with the legislative committee of the Alabama Independent Insurance Agents. And I did that for 25 years. So I have an intimate knowledge of the way Montgomery works, because I've had to work down there unpaid for 25 years. And that's how I got involved in politics.
So
necessity.
It says you co-founded PAC Insurance Agency in 1981.
Correct.
So you've been in the industry for a long time. What has being in the industry taught you about how government works and how regulations and decisions from the powers that be affect real people when things go wrong?
Well, that's why I got involved 25 years ago. They almost put us out of business. Regulation in Montgomery can literally, for both ways. It can make you money or it can take money from you. And what they did down in Montgomery under Don Siegelman almost closed our businesses. It made it, and then we were able to repair it, but it was not fun. And I've seen them, and they destroyed the health insurance industry, and they've taken a lot of people's livelihoods away when they tried to redo the health insurance. And health insurance it's idiotic. But by the same way, a lot of people use Montgomery for market share, for profits. You legislate yourself money. And with a lot of lobbyists, a lot of people do that, and they do that on a national level. They've consolidated most industries. I mean, most industries now, including the food industry, which is one of my big-time pet peeves. We need to be food independent. We need to be able to feed ourselves in Alabama. Has been completely centralized, and they've done it through government and regulation, and it's not good.
What specifically did your insurance work involve, both on paper and in practice?
They quote unquote made insurance mandatory, but with no enforcement, which destroyed the business model, because we lost money on every policy we sold, and then they fixed it somewhat, but it's still, we were able to charge for what we were doing, but it's worse off since government got involved in the industry. They should have left it alone. I wish it was back like it was before 25 years ago. Would have been better for everyone.
It sounds like you've been not just a name on a door. It sounds like you've been in the weeds of everything with your
I've
company.
had a lot of fun done in Montgomery, and I saw intimately on how Montgomery works and who's in charge of Montgomery. And that when I was first down there, the legislature changed in 2010. It was Democrat-controlled from the Civil War until 2010, and then the Republicans took over from 2010 until now. So for the last 16 years, we've had a Republican majority down in Montgomery. But the powers that be in Montgomery, for the most part, are the same then as they are now. The Republicans, Democrats have changed, but the people in power have not.
So based on what you've seen professionally and politically, what forces have too much influence over how Alabama is run then?
Everyone but the people. And that's why I'm running. It's time for the people to have an actual people's candidate that will represent the people's interest down in Montgomery, because there's just no one representing the people down there. And if you try, you'll get primaried and voted out of office.
Indeed. Power usually hides behind normal-looking systems.
Right.
When you name those forces, people don't just hear complaints. They hear who might push back hardest if you actually win. Where do you stand on cannabis in Alabama, particularly as it relates to veterans, mental health, and personal freedom?
I've talked a little bit about that. I know it's a split issue. About half the folks really think it's wonderful and it's all kinds of benefits, and the other half thinks it's the devil's lettuce and is horrible and it's going to destroy all our
I
children.
was talking to a small hemp, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. I was talking to a small hemp farmer in Polk City, Florida. And, you say the devil's lettuce, but he said that the people who know it, we call it the Lord's loud. And I thought that was pretty great. Ask the question again. So where do you stand on cannabis in Alabama, particularly as it relates to veterans, mental health, and personal freedom?
Like I've mentioned this before in interviews, about half the folks who are for medical cannabis and even legal cannabis, and the other half are not. And they think it's the worst thing that has ever happened to mankind and it's horrible for children. And the other things is it's God's gift to humanity and it's great for all kinds of ailments. And while I'm not going to talk about the benefits or the badness of it, I don't think we have a constitution. The Constitution is what the people use to empower government. Article 1, Section 35 of Alabama's Constitution is when the people make a constitution, is how we empower government to administer what we want. We said in Article 1, Section 35 that the sole object and only legitimate end of government is to protect the citizen in the enjoyment of life, liberty, and property. And when the government assumes other functions, and that's what I think it's doing here, it is usurpation and oppression. And usurpation is the illegal taking of power that you are not given. And I don't think we've given the government the right to tell us what we can and cannot do. If a 45-year-old man wants to smoke a joint in the privacy of his own home, we don't have the right to tell him he can't do it. I mean, look at the Constitution. I don't think we've given the government the right for what it's doing to us. In Article 1, Section 35, we're just building a new state house. When I'm elected governor, and I honestly believe I will be, I want this on as a plaque and a monument at every entrance and in every meeting room. Article 1, Section 35 of our Constitution. Government needs to be reminded of the limits we've put on it, because they don't. It's insane what government is doing to us right now. Read it, Article 1, Section 35. It's massive. Take our power back.
Yeah, you said it when you said usurpation. It's government overreach at its finest.
On so many things.
So, what you said also is going to resonate very well with the people, because you said it's not the government's call, which draws a clear line between personal preference and personal liberty.
And then there's the other half that think they're it's corrupting children and everything, but it's not the government's job to decide. It's your job.
It's not the government's job to parent your child. It's not the government's job to make sure that your children do not go and seek it out. You need to look at your own household. So in talking about cannabis, should adults, including veterans, be able to access cannabis without fear of arrest or loss of benefits?
Like I said, go back to Article 1, Section 35 of our Constitution. Our government, we've not empowered our government the authority to do that.
Alabama's medical cannabis rollout has been slow and tied up in lawsuits. Does that represent government overreach to you?
I mean, only government could screw up marijuana. I mean, it's something that you can grow in your backyard if you wanted to, or something you can grow it anywhere, but only government and regulation and bureaucrats could screw up marijuana.
What do you have any definitive steps that you would take to take the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission and reform how they're doing things to make it less bureaucratic and maybe speed processes up along? Because when they announced it in January, they only had 3 dispensaries that they were going to deal with. and 3 dispensaries across the whole state of Alabama is not enough.
Government is doing to medical cannabis what government does to everything it touches. It rewards the people that give the donations to the politicians. It creates market share for those on the inside, and it takes power away from the people. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. That's why you don't want government involved in it. We need to get government out of our lives. We don't want more government.
So you abolish the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission?
Yes, and 100 other things.
And then
1,000 other things.
Absolutely. So we've talked about cannabis. Let's switch to healthcare. When hospitals close in less populated areas, people lose access to emergency care, maternity services, and basic treatment. What's your plan to address that?
If you look at the cannabis and the hospital industry, we've got to rethink the entire medical system from top to bottom. Go on Google, research how Rockefeller took over our medical schools 100 years ago, and then use the political system and donations to completely take over the curriculum of the medical schools. Close all the medical schools that didn't teach the form of medicine, which is petroleum-based and pharmacology-based, to turn us into long-term customers. Since this has happened, we are the most unhealthy generation we've been in 100 years. It's because it does what government does. The more government gets involved, the more it's going to protect the people that give the donations to the politicians. And it's not protecting the people. It's protecting the interests behind the industry. We need to get government out of it. Number one is we have to, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. We've got to start with food. We have to get people off the pharmacology and off, we just need a pill. They want you on a pill for the rest of your life, and that's profit for that industry. We don't need that. We got to get Alabama healthy again. We have to rethink medicine. I mean, it's insanity what the medical industry is doing, and it's all it was put together in market share by government and regulation and politicians. It's wrong. We have to rethink that.
So some candidates, in particular, Chad Chigmartin out of Dothan, Alabama, who's a Democratic gubernatorial candidate, has argued that expanding Medicaid would reduce uncompensated care and help keep hospitals open. What do you think about that?
Why would you want to expand a system that needs big time, top to bottom rehaul? I mean, it's got to be revamped from top to bottom. Why would you want to expand something? I talked to a congressman about that. I said, do you think government's the problem with healthcare or the solution to healthcare? He said, well, we're the problem with healthcare, but we got to fix it now. It's insanity. We need to get government out of healthcare. We need to get insurance companies out of healthcare. We need to put healthcare back between doctors and what we eat and how we take care of ourselves. That's how we get healthy. It's proven it's not working.
What role, if any, should the governor play in enabling modern solutions like telehealth or private sector logistics without expanding government control? So what I mean by private sector logistics is when I was at the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association convention last year in Las Vegas, there was this keynote speaker. The company is called Zipline. And so what they're doing is they are using drones to send vital blood to mothers who are birthing in some of these African areas that are very rural and do not have very good health care around. And so I think that a good solution to this would be to use people like this. So I'm going to ask the question again. What role, if any, should the governor play in enabling modern solutions like telehealth or private sector logistics without expanding government control?
I think we ought to get government out of healthcare as much as we can. Let the industry take over and do what it does best, and let the free market do what it does best. And the government's not set up for free market. It's the government and the way unfortunately, legislatures are run The people involved in the industry use government regulation and legislators to limit competition. We don't want limited competition. We want the free market to decide. And if the free market thinks it's best, that's what's going to happen. And we'll all be healthier if we get government out of our business.
Every governing agenda creates winners and losers. Who would be most upset by yours?
Probably, and I don't want to start any fights, and I've said this before, I don't want the establishment has been in charge for a very long time. I don't want to start a fight with the guys that do most of the, there's in every state in the union, there's always a small group of people that do most of the business in that state. I don't want to start a fight with you. We need you to do what we need to do to help the people of Alabama, because to accomplish, to be able to feed ourselves, to be able to, there's a lot of things going on globally that's going to really hurt if Alabama can't feed itself. Being food independent is absolute freedom. Alabama has to be food independent. Number two, we have to educate our children. And the AEA is probably going to be the one that is really mad. But you need to look at education. You need to look at how Rockefeller took over education. You need to learn that our schools are not, they're intentionally not teaching our children what we need to do to have a successful life. Intentionally. They don't want critical thinkers. They want people that will memorize and comply. And if you memorize and comply better than anybody else, you get you get accepted to medical school. And that's how they took over our medical schools. Our doctors, as we've learned over the last 5 years, didn't stand up to to tyranny, medical tyranny. They did what they were told, and they remembered what they were told, and they did what they were told. That's wrong. We need to get our schools away from that. We need to teach virtues to our children. Ben Franklin's got 13 virtues. He had a little program he put together on a trip when he was coming back from England when he was a very young man. I think he was 18 or 19 years old. And it was about virtues. And he put together a little program with the 13 virtues, and he would do 1 week on each virtue. And at the end of the day, did I live up to that virtue? Did I not live up to that virtue? Once a week, and then after the 13 weeks, he would start over, and one a week, one of the 13 virtues. And the virtues are temperance, silence, order, resolution, frugality, industry, sincerity, justice, moderation, cleanliness, tranquility, chastity, and humility. Excuse me, just getting over a little cold. Most of our great thinkers throughout history have all talked about the number one thing you need to have a successful life is virtue. And we don't teach this. Why aren't we teaching our kids what all the great minds thought, all to have a successful life and a free life? Only the virtuous can be free. They don't want us free. That's why they're not teaching us virtue. Only the virtuous can be free. And even if we only focus on two of them, frugality and industry, if you get a kid to be frugal and work hard, he or she is probably going to have a fairly good life. And so will their children. You're going to save money and you're going to work hard. They don't teach that in school. I don't understand it. Thomas Jefferson, he talked about that an ignorant country and a free country is what never was and never will be. An ignorant country and a free country is what never was and never will be. That's what they're after. They don't want us virtuous, which is freedom. They want us ignorant, which is slavery. We can't do that anymore. And the AEA has to be open to a total revamp of the school systems. We have to start teaching these. There's no question. I mean, it's destroying our children. And if we do, companies from all over the world will fall all over themselves to come to our state to hire our kids that are virtuous.
That's really powerful. That's really powerful. And you talking about Benjamin
I'm
Franklin.
pissed.
Yeah, I am too.
I really am. I'm pissed. I'm tired of being told so many lies for so long. It's time for the people to take our power back. Now's the time.
Indeed. And what you were saying about Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson made me think of Common Sense by Thomas Paine, which I've been reading and really meditating on recently. And what he says in there is that, and I think that we're surrounded by these types of men nowadays, is that, there are a few types of men that are out there, and one is interested men who are not to be trusted. One is weak men who cannot see, and the other is prejudiced men who will not see. I believe that Tuberville is one of these prejudiced men. That is my own opinion. But look and ask yourself, who else would fearmonger next to a picture of 9/11? Tuberville's sentiment on all things has to stop. We need to elect somebody else that is not as prejudiced as he, or as a prized pony as he. Look, like Ken has said, look where the money goes. Who is funding Tuberville's whole campaign? Who is behind all of that? Why did Trump endorse him even though he has no residency in the state of Alabama?
If you think about it, though, there's two folks, and it's a foregone conclusion on who the candidates are going to be. It's going to be Doug Jones as a Democrat, and it's already been decided. I mean, people haven't decided yet, but the powers that be have. And it's going to be Tuberville on the Republican side. The stuff that happened up in Minnesota, the very first thing they did, and they do this, the people that control Tuberville and the people that control Jones are the same people. They're the same people in charge. That we have a uniparty. Mm-hmm. And they won't let you see people that are telling the truth because they have a vested interest in these people, and they use fear, just like the media. No one trusts the media anymore. Does anyone watching this trust the media? No, of course not. Does anyone here trust the politicians? Well, the people behind the politicians and the people behind the media are the same people on both parties. They sell fear, they sell division and prejudice. And both, as soon as that stuff happened up in Minnesota, both the selected candidates, the ones that are controlled by the media, the prize ponies, they both came out on division. Tuberville was on this side, and Jones was on that side. And they both started lobbing, they want us divided. The people, we all see what's happening. Start waking up and stop voting for those folks. You cannot vote for the establishment candidates and expect change. They're not part of the problem. They are the problem. They want the people divided. We cannot be divided anymore. The people need to come together and limit government with our Constitution and take the power back. We need to take the power back from the government. Now's the time.
Single party voting is the enemy of critical thinking. In one sentence, what does Alabama look like after 4 years under your leadership?
If I've been asked that before, if the people actually start becoming virtuous, and that's the only way we can be free. That's why I'm running for governor. I'm tired of not being free. And the only way we can be free is not me, it's you. If the people become virtuous, if the people start eating better, if the people start thinking about medicine a little bit differently, and it's like, no, medical care is not to help you. Medical care is helping the industry. And we're tired of that. If people actually want a governor that's going to tell the truth, and more importantly, will listen and act on that, then I'll have a successful governorship. If they don't, then you're wasting your vote on me. But if you'll change, the whole system will change, because the only way to be free is if you reclaim the power and you become virtuous. If we remain ignorant, we remain slaves.
From what I understand, you have a letter written to...
It'll go out next week.
It'll go out next
right.
week.
It's being written right now.
Tell us a little bit about the genesis, what's it about, and what is your angle at?
The people of Alabama, I'm trying to represent the people of Alabama. The people of Alabama, we the people of Alabama, know if we had a $6 million house in Florida and we didn't have to go to work every day in Auburn and show up at an office every day or a factory or a restaurant, we would live in our $6 million house. We know that. We know we would not be living in our son's $300,000 house in Auburn. It's in his son's and his wife's name. We know we'd be living in our $6 million pad down at the beach. So does Tuberville. So does everybody. But the qualification is over. Now, I can make a challenge, and I'm going to, and I've got till the 29th to make the challenge, and the Alabama Republican Party, the state party, will take up the challenge on his residency. And I've got to fill out a little form, and then I've got to attach a letter. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to let them know that we, the people, know what they're doing. It's a foregone conclusion that they won't rule, they will rule for Tupperville and not against Tupperville. They'll say, well, his campaign is saying that they'll spend about half the money they're raising on lawyers to prove that he lives in Alabama. No one I know outside of the leadership in the Republican Party and establishment thinks he lives in Alabama, because he doesn't. Common sense would make, I wouldn't. If I had a $6 million pad at the beach, my butt would be at the beach. So, I mean, it's common sense, and we know we're being lied to. And we the people also know there's a two-tiered justice system in Alabama, one for us and one for the people with all the money and the establishment backing. If you or I lived in Florida and then wanted to run for governor, we would not be allowed to. Tommy Tupperville is allowed to, because he's got the establishment, and he's going to do what the establishment tells him to do. You don't get $20 million for your campaign in the most politically corrupt, one of the most politically corrupt states in the nation. We've historically been known by that. He's collected more money than any other candidate in one of the most politically corrupt states in the nation. Who do you think he's working for? I mean, he's a nice guy, he's affable, he's an ex-football coach. They know who to put up in front of the camera to do their bidding. But he's not a genius. No one's ever accused him of being a genius or even intelligent, for that matter. He's a nice guy, like him. I've had lunch with him, sat down and had lunch with him at the club. Great guy when he was running for Senate. He's a great guy. But he's not, if you vote for Tommy Tupperville, you're voting for the establishment and the people behind the establishment. They're the ones that are behind the media. They're the ones behind the politicians. They're the ones you don't trust. If you vote for me, you're going to vote for someone that's going to try to help the people. So your choice is not Tommy you're voting for. It's the establishment and the people behind the establishment. That's who you're voting for. But anyhow, I'm going to make a challenge to his residency, and they've got until the 28th. I think they're going to, 26th to 28th, they're going to decide on all the challenges and decide whether he can be on the ticket, or they can take him off the ticket. And I seriously doubt they'll do that, because do you think that'll happen? No, because you know who's behind Tupperville. So, and they
he just got endorsed by Trump. So, I mean, that tells you something, that they're going to turn a blind eye to any type of naysayers that come out of the woodworks, which, they're going to, where is his mansion at in Florida?
Santa Rosa Beach, just outside of Destin. And I like Trump. I like a lot of stuff that Trump's done. I'm not a one of those that just love everybody, everything about every political candidate. And I don't like everything that Trump has done, but I do like a lot of things that Trump has done. So, and I voted for Trump. Yeah. But there again,
But yeah, look at where we're at.
I don't just because someone's president, I don't like 100% of what they have ever done. I've never been like that. Yeah. And a lot of times you find out that it's not actually all that good, because I voted for the Bushes, and I don't really, in hindsight, I don't really like what the Bushes did.
Right. Hindsight's 20/20 though, and how are you supposed to know who uses or who is behind the gilded puppet strings that make these puppets talk? Who is behind all the money that they get that makes them act and that makes them say the things that they say?
Dr. Malone, this is one of the reasons I got into politics. It's because of the craziness we've experienced over the last 5 years. But Malone said, over the last 5 years, Western governments, non-governmental organizations, transnational organizations, pharmaceutical industrial corporations, media and financial corporations have cooperated via a public-private partnership, which we both assert is a euphemism for fascism. Government and corporations don't work. That is the definition of fascism. To deploy the most massive, globally harmonized psychological and propaganda operation in the history of the world, bar none. Over the last 5 years, we've been subjected to the most massive, harmonized and globally coordinated propaganda campaign in the history of the Western world, full stop, bar none. And they're doing it again right now. I mean, after 9/11, we got the Patriot Act. That's been horrendous for the regular folks. And now, and I don't understand this, and this is why we need the leadership, the powers that be and that run Alabama. Guys, why are you doing this? You need to help us stop this. They're putting data centers everywhere. These data centers are going to be the ground zero of the AI surveillance programs that are going to be used to mass surveillance. They're going to track our every single move, facial recognition every time we leave the house. All our banking, our health, our social media posts are all going to be monitored by the government. And the government, 57 Republicans just switched sides to where the federal government can shut off our cars. If you vote, and Tommy is one of the guys that got it through the Armed Service Committee. The guy that the media and the establishment are backing is the guy that's going to take mass surveillance with. It's insanity. Guys, we got to stop this nonsense. Stop voting for these idiots.
Yeah, talking about data centers, for any people that are in Baldwin, Mobile County, I believe that they're going to put in a new data center in Pritchard, of all places. So be on the lookout for the next couple months. But that's potentially coming down the pipeline. We were talking about raising money a minute ago, and it got me thinking. Will Boyd says that we need a lottery. What do you think about the lottery and how it could potentially subsidize our healthcare systems or education systems or what have you?
I've done some thinking on that. It's if we could actually get a clean lottery bill through Montgomery, but there again, Montgomery does what Montgomery does, and that's to limit market share and give certain folks market share and limit the competition. And it's almost impossible to get a clean lottery with the state would own and decide where the money goes without statewide casino-type gambling. But I would sign a bill if we had a clean lottery bill. I would sign the bill. And
what do you mean by clean lottery, though?
Where it's just lottery. I mean, it's just a state-run lottery, no casino-style gambling, no sports betting, and that's what happens every time they would say, "Oh, well, let's just have a clean lottery bill." And some of the good legislators down there have tried that, and then the vultures come in. It's like, "Oh no, we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that." And they can never make an agreement.
The big pushback behind and why you're saying clean lottery, why people don't want gambling and whatnot, is because they don't want to see big skyscrapers on the beaches, and we want to keep Alabama beautiful. Is that the?
That's what I'm saying, right? They can't get when I say clean lottery bill where it just says lottery, because every time it says we just want a lottery bill, okay, but we're going to add casino style gambling at the beach. We're going to call it casino start gambling in the major cities. And it goes, and it just gets.
Because a lot of people see Biloxi and they say we don't want to be like
no,
Biloxi,
of course
because
not. Right.
Biloxi's fine and it's fun for people that want to go do that.
Right, and if you want to do that,
necessarily want that in Alabama.
And it's depressing. God, go over there. It's depressing. It's a depressing. Areas and the people are depressed. It's horrific. Gambling's a very bad addiction.
Indeed.
But in some of the other states like Georgia, they say it's a tax on the poor and the uneducated and the people that are bad at math. And I agree, because statistically you'll never win. And then who knows actually who's making the money and actually wins the prizes, because everything's corrupted, especially if it's run by politicians. So who actually is winning them? Who knows? I know it's a large percentage of them. Yeah, but that's a whole another rabbit hole you can go down.
I started making stickers before I started Smoke Signal South, and I made snacking stickers, and I made a bunch of shit like this. That was pretty funny to me, I thought. But that's the one that I've got facing the camera because I think it's going to be really fun and funny to put on there.
I mean, it's horrific what they're doing. And
the surveillance state is absolutely upon us, and anybody who thinks that it's not is, for lack of a better term, naive and doesn't want to see. As Thomas Paine put it, they are the weak man who cannot see. They cannot see that it is being ushered into their own devices, to their own Google Home smart apps, to their own speakers. If you read 1984, Orwellian society is upon us completely.
And I don't understand the Republicans, because all the Republican people I talk to, the people, are against this. All the establishment that are behind the media and behind the politicians are making this happen. we're trying to elect a guy now, Tupperville, that actually was involved in getting it through the Armed Services Committee, what they needed to use military and intelligence-grade spy software and turn it loose on American citizens.
Is that Palantir?
Palantir using Gotham software.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is and if you look who's really behind it,
Peter Thiel.
Right, Peter Thiel and his last company, his two partners were an ex-prime minister of and a Zionist of Israel, and the guy, what's his name, that did all the that was hung in prison or hung himself in Epstein. Right, and
Indeed.
those were his two partners. That's who we're giving the contract to spy on us. Who the hell are they working for? There's a lot of black hats.
You said Epstein is connected to Peter Thiel. How?
His last company was a company that Epstein was involved in, and an ex-prime minister and Zionist of Israel. And then now he's behind Palantir and the Gotham software that's going to be used to mass surveil with AI against us.
It's already being used.
Oh, I know, right,
100%.
exactly, right, 100%.
And yeah, it's under the guise, again, the Patriot Act is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to us because it paved the way for what's happening right now. And it's like, this is all under the guise of your security. But was it Benjamin Franklin that said, those who give up temporary
freedoms for security,
that's it.
Get neither.
Yeah, you deserve neither.
You deserve neither.
So you should see that the government is spying on you currently.
100%.
100%.
100%.
I did not know that Peter Thiel and Epstein were connected in that way.
Do some Google searching.
That is crazy. So yeah, that is absolute news to me. Because
and for Republicans to be doing this, I don't understand. I mean, I don't even understand.
Well, like you said, it's not necessarily Republicans. It's the uniparty. It's the establishment. They are a completely separate thing from all of you other candidates. So Will Boyd, Chad Chig-Martin, and you, Ken McFeeters, all seem to be real people. Tommy Tuberville and Doug Jones are so inflated. It's the same thing that was happening in Common Sense, Thomas Paine. He's talking about how the kings are in a position, they don't interact with everyday folk. They don't understand what it's like. They don't see what's going on. And so I think that that's part of it, is that they are so removed from the situation that they cannot see. They are literally the weak man who cannot see. And Tuberville is something a little different. You know, I think that he is the prejudiced man who will not see. He knows that it's there. He refuses to talk about the elephant in the room. Doug Jones might be more of the weak man in the room. But the other three candidates,
they both work for the same folks.
And
if you look at it, and this is what really makes me, Alabama during the last 5 or 6 years controlled the governor's office, the courts, both houses in the state legislature, all our local towns and communities. They shut down our lives. They shut down our businesses. They shut down our churches. They shut down our restaurants. They shut down our small businesses. And they also kept open abortion clinics. They also kept open liquor stores. Not one time has the establishment apologized for that. Not one time has any politician apologized for that. Not one time has any politician stood up and said, "I am sorry, I didn't stand up for you guys." Where I don't understand. The Republicans are the good guys. I went out and got a white hat. The Republicans are the good guys. We wear the white hats. We're not the black hats. There's some black hats that are in charge of both parties, but we're the good guys. We're not the bad guys. I don't understand it. He got the black hat.
Yeah, I was about to say, I got a black hat, so I must be the bad guy. It is what it is, man. Somebody's got to do it.
We got to stop. I mean, I honestly believe that the Democrats are a hopeless lost cause. The working man and woman of the Democrat Party are the backbone of the voting of the Democrat Party. They're solid. It's the people that have taken over Malcolm X said the worst thing for America and the worst thing for the black man is a white liberal. I'll take that a step up. The worst thing for America and the worst thing for Alabama and a black family, white and black, is a white Mountain Brook liberal, Doug Jones. But there again, he's working for the same folks that Tupperville are. So it's like you're voting. This election is going to be about the establishment versus the people. And you cannot, we got to stop. We got to start, Alabamians need to start taking care of Alabamians. We got to start now. The white hat, time for the white hats.
When you follow the money, yeah, it does seem like all roads converge to the same uniparty, to the same people saying the same things in different ways.
And run the media, so you only hear their sides.
And it's always two extreme points of view,
Right.
Specifically
To keep us divided.
To keep us divided. Specifically to keep us divided. The things that are going on in Minnesota, and they see it. They see it completely because everybody in
Now,
any
folks,
comments,
they control the narrative. So we only see that's happening in Minnesota because they want us seeing that. If they didn't want us to see that, we would not see that. That's a controlled, that's a psyop. The reason we see that is to divide us.
and to take your eye off the ball, which
Correct.
should be the Epstein files.
I agree.
100% should be the Epstein files.
But
every single thing that they throw into the media seems to be a decoy, so to speak.
And it's one story after the other. There's always a narrative in the media designed to divide us, and we got to stop that. I mean, and I think
And we were talking
everybody
about
no one trusts the media, but we keep falling for it. But we need to. But it's no. Stop letting them bait you. We got to start focusing. It's like, no, we got to start realizing we cannot vote for the two establishment candidates because they are owned by the same people, and nothing's changing as long as we keep voting for these idiots.
Yeah, and so why do you think Alabama is so indoctrinated? What can we do to fix it? As far as education goes, how should we reform education? How should we teach our young people not to be a sheep, for lack of a better word, to conform?
Well, they don't. They intentionally teach kids not to be critical thinkers. One of the things that I've saw, and there's a bill right now that's going to allow to use some ex-military and get a little bit fast track, but it's not enough. We can take, if you've got 8-10 years with military experience and you've sworn allegiance to the constitutions, which most of the guys have that are politicians and they don't live up to it, but we give you a fast track teaching certificate to get you in the schools within a couple of months at a very inexpensive $1,000. You don't need to have an indoctrination degree from a Marxist-controlled institution to teach our children. We want people that with some military experience, get them a fast-track education, teach them, tell them how to, add a call roll and on how to do the work on the computers and everything. Get them teaching the virtues to our children. If we can start with 1 hour a day, Ben Franklin's virtues, 13 virtue thing, teach a kid every single day for 1 hour, the entire time he or she is in school, our problems are solved. And we've taken our educational system back from the Marxists that control it and aren't teaching our kids. If the AEA is not happy with that, tough. We'll fight the AEA head on. But it's because our kids are more important than the AEA and teachers' benefits. We have to take our children's education back now.
I want to go back to cannabis just for a second, but mostly to talk about prison reform. So if we were to legalize or at least reform cannabis in some way in Alabama, what do you think we should do with all those who were convicted of nonviolent drug-related crimes?
I wish the people in the cannabis, that are pro-cannabis, would stop with, we need government to do this. We don't need government to do this. Government's overstepped its bounds by doing what they are doing with cannabis. You need to get back to freedom. We've not empowered the government through the Constitution. Read Section 31, Article 35. We've not given the government the authority to do what they're doing with cannabis. Don't ask the government for permission. They don't have the authority. We've not given them the authority. We empower government. We've not given the government the authority to do this, nor a lot of what they do. Start focusing on freedoms. We got to bring our freedoms back. This election is going to be about freedom versus oppression, and we have to reclaim our freedoms.
A large aggravation in primarily low income or Black communities is that they think that, rightfully so, they think that the government is essentially making modern slavery because they are, like we were talking about psyops. Who are the drugs coming from? Why are they able to get into our communities? And then why are nonviolent drug offenses punished so aggressively? It seems as though it is meant to be this cycle to get people hooked on these drugs or make them seek it out, or at least make it abundant enough to where it's easy to seek it out. And then when they do seek it out, they are then apprehended by the police, thrown into a cage, and then in that cage, they are, you know, the government benefits from their slave labor, so to speak, because they put them to work at any Burger King, gas station anywhere down the road that you can think of. They will put them to work, and so it is a form of modern slavery. What do you say about that?
What was that Tom Cruise movie where he was a pilot that was based on a real story when he was bringing most of the cocaine through Arkansas in the 80s. And it's there again, it's the federal and international drug trade is controlled by some folks that are way out of our league. And those are the true criminals. We have to protect Alabama, and we can do that by not giving the state the power to do some of the things they're doing, because we empower government. So if we don't allow the state to do what they're doing, it goes away. But
And if you legalize
the
cannabis,
Tom Cruise movie is wild. I mean, during the Iran-Contra affair, George Bush was the head of the CIA and Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. And this is all laid out in the movie. And they helped bring all the cocaine in the 80s through Arkansas. And all of a sudden, now look who's got a foundation with a couple of $1 billion in it. And there's some bad people in this world and some bad stuff going on. And they're open about it. They made a movie about it. And it's like,
it's in plain sight.
It's in plain sight.
It's almost as a fuck you.
It is. I hate to say it, but and I think they, some of the religious beliefs they believe, they have to tell you the truth. And if we accept it, and then it's our fault, not theirs.
Wow. Yeah, and if you legalize cannabis or further reform it, then you starve the illicit drug market because you can grow it in your backyard. So if you can grow it in your backyard, why would you go pay $20 for something that could be laced, could be, you don't know where it's coming from type of thing. So that's
what they're doing with the cannabis industry. They're going to take it to Montgomery, and then they're going to get all the lobbyists and say, well, we need to do this, this, and this, and this. Instead of just growing in your backyard, we got to do this, this, and this, and this, because if we do this, this, and this, my industry gets to profit from it. So I'm going to give the legislators some cash to make sure this happens. And that's on every industry down there. And that's what happened. It's destroyed our educational system. It's destroyed our medical system. We need to get government out of it. We've not empowered government to do this. We need the government out of our lives, not more. And with the kids, it's government's sole job is to look after our life, liberty, and property. What is arresting someone for a cannabis crime, taking away their liberty and then property with fines? That's not protecting life, liberty, and property. That's restricting people's life, liberty, and property. So we got to rethink a lot of things. And we have to wake up. We can't do the same old tired, the left, right, white, black, rich, poor. It's the people against the establishment. And the only way we can do anything is locally. So that's why I'm running for governor. I ran for Congress last time, knowing I wasn't going to win, but I wanted to talk about what the cause of a lot of our problems is, and it's our monetary policy and the Federal Reserve. But there's not much we can do about that. Heck, most of our presidents have been globalists since Bush, New World Order and all that. But we can do something locally. We can give freedoms locally. We can feed ourselves locally. We can reform our schools locally. And we can rethink medicine locally and what it means to be healthy. Taking a bunch of pills for the rest of your life is not going to make you healthy. And the monetary policy, 3 companies, State Street, BlackRock, and Vanguard, now own controlling interest in 95% of our publicly traded companies. 95% they own controlling interest in. That means they control all the corporations basically in the United States. That means they control all the food production. They control all the foods we're eating that are making us sick. Then they control all the pharmaceutical companies, all the hospitals, all the insurance companies that are set up to help us, that are to make us customers, that are going to treat us for the foods that are making us sick, and the things that are making us sick, they're going to treat us for the rest of our lives. It's an evil system, and it needs to stop. And the only way we can do it is locally. And the only way we can do it is that folks wake up and realize what's going on and stop voting for the establishment candidates. Stop voting for the establishment. We got to do it locally. And we need the guys that are running Alabama to help us. It's your kids, your cousins, your nephews, your nieces that this Alabama is going to go to. And we got to stop. It's gotten way out of hand. And if the globalists, and they've come back some, if the globalists see that people are waking up, they're going to throw a temper tantrum. And if we can't feed ourselves, that's why it's so important we have food independence. If we can't feed ourselves, a lot of people are going to get hurt. A lot of people are going to starve. Alabama has always been food independent. We need to get back there.
So I'm actually genuinely curious about that because I don't know anything about the agriculture industry other than cannabis.
The agricultural industry is regulated by politicians. What do you think they're going to do to it? Most politicians, consolidate power in fewer and fewer and fewer people's hands. That's what politicians and that's what our legislatures, unfortunately, have been doing my entire life. We have to get away from that. We have to go back to the local farmers. We have to get back. I mean, where I'm living now probably used to be a farm. They've taken out all our farmlands and put subdivisions. We can't do that. We've got to be able to feed ourselves with good, healthy food. I mean, most farmers, if you want to be a successful farmer, it's almost like anything else. You have to have a whole staff that's going to file all the grants and things and all the government regulations to get all the money from the government to keep your farm operable. And to get, if you don't grow this, we're going to give you that much money. Well, you got to have someone that's going to fill out those forms. Farmers work from sun up to sundown and don't have the time to fill out all the regulations or all the regulatory requirements that comes from getting subsidies from the government. Subsidies are good for larger farms. Larger farms are easily purchased by even bigger farms that are owned by the globalists. We need to it's like the homes. Trump just said he's going to ban BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard from buying up all our homes. They're on course to own 60% of all private family homes are about to be owned by 3 companies, which are really one company.